Okay, this video is about solving another trig equation, and the situation with this is they're both in cosine, but one is a 2x and one is x, and those are different angles, and we have to talk the same language. So either we need to rewrite cosine of x into 2x, or we need to write cosine of 2x into just the angle x. If you look on your identity sheet, we have three options for the cosine of 2x. We can rewrite the cosine of 2x as the cosine squared of x minus the sine squared of x, or we can rewrite the cosine of 2x into 2 cosine squared of x minus 1, or we can rewrite the cosine of 2x as 1 minus 2 sine squared of x. And so we have choices, but we would really want to make a good choice here. And so I think the best choice to make here would be to rewrite cosine of 2x into 2 cosine squared of x minus 1, because then our equation would be all in terms of cosine x. So I'm just going to make that substitution. So I'm going to rewrite cosine of 2x into 2 cosine squared of x minus 1 plus the cosine of x equals to 0. And so now I'm going to rewrite my equation in descending order. So highest power to lowest power, this will be 2 cosine squared of x plus cosine of x minus 1 equals to 0. If you have trouble seeing it in terms of cosine, you can do substitution. You can use substitution where you let a variable, say u, equal to the cosine of x. And then u squared would equal to the cosine squared of x. You could rewrite this equation right here into 2u squared plus u minus 1 equals to 0. You could solve for u and then substitute cosine of x back in for u at the end if it's hard for you to see factoring when it's in trig form. I'm going to factor this. You can use the AC method here. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. You want 2 factors. That will add up to be a positive 1. That's going to be a 2 times a negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 2 plus negative 1 is positive 1. So then you can rewrite your middle term right here into 2 cosine squared of x plus 2 cosine of x minus cosine of x. So I'm rewriting it into 2 cosine of x minus 1 cosine of x minus 1. Then you can factor by grouping. Factor out the greatest common factor here, 2 cosine of x, leaving you with the cosine of x plus 1. Factor out your negative here, leaving you with the cosine of x plus 1. And then factor out the greatest common factor, cosine of x plus 1 times 2 cosine of x minus 1. You did not have to, this one was fairly easy, and you could have done this just by trial and error or inspection, but that's a method you can use if you are not sure how to do it. AC method always is a good thing to try. All right, now we just set each factor equal to 0. So we say cosine of x plus 1 is 0. Solve for cosine of x is negative 1. 2 cosine of x minus 1 equals 0. So the cosine of x is going to be equal to 1/2. I'm going to add 1, divide by 2. So then I want to think about my unit circle. And since they gave me an interval in radians, my answer will be given in radians. Where is the cosine of x negative 1? It's equal to negative 1 at this angle, which is pi. Where is the cosine of x equal to positive 1/2? In quadrant 1 and 4, that's where the cosine is positive 1/2. This angle is pi over 3. This angle is 5 pi over 3. So we got 3 solutions here for x. It's going to equal to pi over 3, pi, and 5 pi over 3.